welcome to Michael's Sportsman. I'll be your host for the talk show today, Michael McKenzie. Today we're going to be talking about some of the top topics in the sporting world, such as the Ezekiel Elliott suspension drama to the MLB Postseason, the NBA season tipping off, and the NFL Week 6 recap. But we begin with the Ezekiel Elliott suspension drama. It was revealed earlier this week, in the around Sunday or maybe even late Saturday, that Ezekiel's 6-game suspension, which was put on hold, would be put into effect for the week, as the bye week for the Cowboys gave them time to recover and get a game plan without Ezekiel Elliott. But yesterday, Ezekiel Elliott's suspension was put on hold yet again by the court. So at this point, we don't know what's going to happen. In the preseason, Ezekiel Elliott was suspended for sexual abuse, which happened at when he was in college at Ohio State University. Then it was put on hold late preseason so he could play the season. Again, as I said, on the Sunday of the bye week for the Cowboys, maybe even late Saturday, the hold was uplifted and the 6-game suspension would take place. And then yesterday, the suspension was put on hold yet again. Now we move on to the MLB postseason. Let's just, before we go into the NL and ALCS, let's recap the division series and wild card. In the wild card, the Yankees defeated the Twins, coming back from 3-0 deficit to win 8-4. The Diamondbacks dominated the Rockies. At the beginning of the game, the Rockies staged a comeback, but the Diamondbacks with 4 triples would eventually come out with a win, 11-8. Now we move on to the division series, where the Dodgers swept the Diamondbacks 3-0. The Cubs had a 2-1 commanding lead against the Nationals. The Nationals sent it to Game 5 and made it a very close game, but 9-8 the Cubs would eventually win and move on to the NLCS. So we go into the NLCS now. The Dodgers have won 3 straight against the Chicago Cubs, and tonight could eliminate them from postseason contention. Are the Cubs on the break? I say yes. The Dodgers have dominated them this postseason with dominant starting pitcher performances from pitchers such as Yu Darvish and Clayton Kershaw and company. Rich Hill is also one of the starters for the Dodgers that has put on a great show for the Dodgers fans, beginning sort of late in September and coming into the postseason. If we remember, he had a perfect game going into the 10th inning against the Pittsburgh Pirates, but Josh Harrison with a walk-off homer ended that. The first time a no-hitter / perfect game has been taken into the 10th and was ended on a walk-off hit / home run. Go to the AL. As the ALDS, the Astros defeated the Red Sox 3-1. The Red Sox won one when they came home, and as they were down 2-0, but the Astros, staging a late comeback in Game 4, won the series, moving on to the ALCS. The Yankees and Indians. The Indians took a commanding 2-0 lead after they had a commanding 4-0 win. Trevor Bauer's fantastic starting pitching performance, followed up by a mediocre performance from Corey Kluber and dominance from the lefty for the Yankees, CC Sabathia. It seemed like that for some reason, Indians could not hit the veteran left-hander. They had hit lefties all year, so it came as a surprise to Cleveland. But they staged a comeback with a Lindor grand slam in the 7th inning and a Jay Bruce tying home run in the 8th. The score would go 8-8, and the game would go into the 13th inning, where Yan Gomes hit a walk-off double to give the Indians a 2-0 series lead. But the Yankees, with 2 straight games winning at home, the series would go Game 5 to Cleveland, and the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees would eventually stage a 2-0 series comeback. Now we move on to the ALC. Yes, the Yankees went down 2-0 to the Astros early in the ALCS, but the Yankees have staged a comeback, and are they back in it, as the series is tied at 2-2. Game 5 will be at 5 o'clock. I say yes, they're back in it, and I say they go to the World Series and try to become 27-time world champions. Now let's move on to the NBA. As I said earlier, the NBA season tipped off earlier than usual. Is on Wednesday, October 17th, where the Warriors raised their championship banner, and the Cleveland Cavaliers were welcoming Kyrie Irving, who was in a Celtics jersey. We go to that game first. The Cleveland Cavaliers came out with a escaping victory against the Celtics, winning 102-99. Kyrie Irving not in his best form, as he said he wanted to move on to the Celtics or another team as a focal point of the team. And very bad news for the Boston Celtics. Their small forward that they spent quite a bit of money on and a lot of their free agency time on in the offseason has dislocated his ankle and fractured his tibia. That could be a season-ending injury for the small forward Hayward. So Celtics, a lot of money and a big chunk of their offseason time down the drain in the first few minutes of their season. The Cavaliers were reportedly going to do a tribute video to Kyrie Irving that was cut from the picture altogether due to the injury. The Rockets' new duo, Chris Paul and James Harden, tested out their strengths against the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors raised their championship banner, and a lot of celebration going on in Golden State gave them momentum going into the game, especially since it's at Oracle Arena. But the Rockets' new duo dominates, and they win the game 112-111, a close game. The Rockets came back within the final 4 minutes as they went down 111-105, staging a comeback 112-111, your final there. No really injuries to report, but a sore hand for Chris Paul took him out in maybe the final 2 minutes. Nothing major for the Rockets fans. He should be maybe day-to-day. If not, he should be back on the court very soon. We move on to the NFL Week 6 recap. In the NFL, Week 6 was a very good week for some of the fans and teams that were not in the best position. The Chargers went 0-4 to start the season with wins over the Giants, and now a walk-off field goal win over the Raiders have given them new life in LA. And speaking of the Raiders, they will go Thursday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs, who suffered their first loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 19-13. Ben Roethlisberger got his groove back, still throwing one interception though. That could be an interception problem for Big Ben. Might give the Steelers offense some problems. Le'Veon Bell dominating the defense of the Chiefs with his running game yet again. He went for 122 yards in the regular season game between the Chiefs and the Steelers last year. Mostly a passing game for the Steelers offense, but it was a running game in the playoff game where the Le'Veon Bell rushed for 170 yards in the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs as the Steelers won with all field goals 18-16. And the Steelers would eventually go on to lose the AFC Championship game. But everybody was now predicting with the 5-0 start that the Chiefs would make it to the AFC Championship game to face either the Patriots or the Steelers. But now that could be looking a little dim if the Chiefs do face the Steelers before the AFC Championship, maybe not even if they even the AFC Championship against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And bad news for Packers fans, likely out for the season is now Aaron Rodgers as he broke his collarbone. The Giants head coach Mike McCarthy stated that he will continue to go with his backup quarterbacks, with his backup quarterback as the starter, Brett Hundley. That will be the plan. I expected them to maybe go out for another QB, but the plan right now, according to head coach Mike McCarthy, will be sticking with backup quarterback Brett Hundley. We move on to college football before we wrap it up. How many games to go on in the college football world this week, but a big one. Michigan looking to spoil yet again Penn State's playoff hopes as they did last year, suffering at the hands of a beatdown of the Wolverines were the Nittany Lions in last year's game. But the Nittany Lions came back with the season. They started storming through the college football world when they defeated the number one seed Ohio State Buckeyes. The Buckeyes would eventually make the playoff, and the Penn State Nittany Lions would settle for a Rose Bowl appearance where they would win on a walk-off, where they actually would lose on a walk-off field goal to USC. Penn State could be looking for revenge here as they are already at the 2 seed, so they are already atop the college football world for the 2017 to 2018 college football season. But in 2 weeks, the Nittany Lions, win or lose this game, they will be taking on a huge opponent again against Ohio State, where Ohio State would be looking to get revenge from last year at the Shoe and looking to make a statement to the College Football Playoff Committee after they suffered a bad loss to Oklahoma at home. Now we will end the show again. Thank you guys for so much for watching Michael's Sports Minute for Michael's Baseball's YouTube channel. I'm Michael McKenzie. Good night.